Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another Power Platform Master Series. I'm going to give it a couple minutes here to let people join, and we'll get started probably 2 minutes after here. So, got some people hanging in the lobby joining here, and then we'll get started here shortly. And hopefully you guys are all seeing the slide deck here. It should be our Power Platform Master Series intro deck. Any reactions? All right, I see some thumbs up. Perfect. We're good to go.
Yep.
Okay, well, it looks like we've got some folks rolling in here, and we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. My name is Andrew Albertson. I am a technical specialist here on the Power Platform in our South OU. So thanks for joining another great Power Platform Master Series. Today, we're going to talk about hyper automation, and really excited for you to join us. I think we've got some really cool, unique perspectives from all sides of that hyper automation journey. First, we'll be starting with one of our technical leads, John Strawman. He's going to walk through what hyperautomation means from Power Platform and what that means here at Microsoft. Next, we'll hear from two business leads, Ali Cohen and Paul Kiley. Ali is going to talk about the business value of hyperautomation and the difference that can make inside of each of your organizations. Paul is going to dive into some customer stories that we've had success with other customers and where they've seen the benefits of hyperautomation. And also, we're going to be joined by Dror Ergaz from AT&T. He is an AVP of technology at AT&T. He's going to talk about AT&T's story, their journey on hyperautomation with the Power Platform, and leave that open for questions and Q&A at the end. So a little housekeeping. We'll do, like usual, drop your questions in the chat. Myself and some other team members will be there to answer questions along the way as we can. If you want to save any of your questions for Dror or Paul at the end around AT&T's journey, feel free to come off of mute then and ask away about the stories they have. As well as we'll be putting some polls throughout in the chat, in the meeting to answer some questions around how you guys are using Power Automate and hyperautomation on the Power Platform. So with that, I will turn it over to John Strawman. He's going to talk to you, give you a high-level overview of hyperautomation here at on the Power Platform.
Thank you, Andrew. Oh, go ahead. Do you have one thing
before you get there? Yeah, I see there's a hand up. I don't know if that's intentional. I got a hand up from Mohammed.
We haven't even said anything yet.
I know. If not, that might have been a reaction. If not, drop your question in the chat and we'll get to it. Thanks, John.
Okay. Thanks, Andrew. And good afternoon, everyone. And as Andrew mentioned, thank you very much for your attendance today. We really appreciate you spending part of your afternoon with us, and I hope you find it entertaining and useful. So as Andrew mentioned, my name is John Strawman, and I too am a technology specialist, although I have christened myself the Chief AI and Automation Officer for Microsoft South. I might have worked with some of you in the past, and if so, nice to see you again. Quotes around see you. And if not, nice to virtually meet all of you. And my email is there. And I say that our hyperautomation platform is a strategic digital transformation platform, and I truly believe that. And another term people hear me use a lot is art of the possible. So there are just so many things that we can design to solve our customers' problems with our platform. So if you have ideas and you want to noodle on things, please reach out to me at any time. I'm always happy to hear new ideas and help any way I can for customers to make their vision a reality. So hyperautomation. One of those overused terms today, in my opinion, it really comes down to automating multiple technologies, using multiple technologies. And so what I mean by that is there are companies out there that have automation engines, but that's all they do. So I have never done an automation demo where I haven't had to automate something, a product, using AI, artificial intelligence, maybe processing documents, doing UI automation on a desktop. It's always automating something. And so when all you have is a automation engine, you depend on third parties like Microsoft for all the other parts of that. at Microsoft, we have multiple technologies. If you've worked with us in the past, you know we have DPA, which means digital process automation or the cloud. We have RPA, which means robotic process automation or the desktop. AI and ML. And because they're all part of the Power Platform, they are seamlessly connected together and integrated while being governed by that same Power Platform. So security, governance, monitoring, and maintenance, all governed by the Power Platform, all part of one solution. And the way we say it is, we make it available for our customers to solve the problem at hand using the correct tool. So if you've got an application you're trying to automate and it's modern and there are web APIs, application programming interfaces that you can connect to, we generally tend toward the cloud. If it's an AS400 sitting in a closet somewhere and the only interface is a green screen terminal running on a desktop somewhere, we've got RPA, so we can do UI emulation and interact with that as well. And of course, those two can communicate with each other seamlessly. So we really do provide the best solution for our customers to implement these multifaceted automations to realize the best value, and we hope in the shortest time. So here's our platform shot, and I put Copilot at the top because I'm sure everyone has heard Copilot. It's pervasive throughout Microsoft lately, and it literally is part of almost every product we have out there. When it comes to the Power Platform, which is the second circle there, Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Pages, and Copilot Studio, Copilot is part of those in different ways. One of the ways is that you can do describe it to design it, which means we go into Power. I did this with a customer yesterday. I went to Power Automate and said, when an email comes in, scan the text of the email for the sentiment, and we used our tool called AI Builder, which is an AI component of Power Automate. If the sentiment is negative, create a case in Dynamics 365 customer service and send an email alerting the customer service team that this has happened. This is a really, really simple example, but it is hyper automation. We use multiple products, we use multiple technologies to design a solution. The benefit to a customer, such as yourselves, would be if these negative emails are coming into the customer service department, they can be automatically followed up on, so nothing ever falls through the cracks. So that's a really simple example of hyperautomation enabled by the Microsoft platform. Going to the third circle, that's kind of the underlying supporting cast for the entire Power Platform. So Dataverse, as many as you may know already, is the database behind the Power Platform. It's essentially Azure SQL on steroids. So there's all kinds of tables and relationships that come out of the box with Dataverse to make your life easier. And it's designed to be used by what we've called in the past fusion teams. So teams made up of developers, IT, and business people to create a diverse team so everyone has a hand in designing these applications. In Dataverse, you do not have to be a SQL DBA, a database administrator, to create a table. It's drag and drop, point and click. You really just tell it what you want the table to do, and it does it for you. But don't let the simplicity make you think that it's not enterprise ready, because of course it is. It runs on Azure. I think we have 61 or more enterprise deployment centers across the world, and we take care of high availability, disaster recovery, and all those things and scalability for you. PowerFX is a scripting language that runs behind the scenes, and it lets you describe things almost in real English, like search the Dataverse for the column that says first name and things like that. So we abstract away the need to program. We let you communicate with the apps in real time in plain English. Connectors we're going to talk about more later. Essentially, these are how we hyper automate. So when we think of third-party products out there, say SAP or different products like that, our connectors are a library of pre-built connections that allow you to connect to these applications in real time, still managed by the Power Platform. So if you need to connect to a product like SAP, an administrator can set it up once, put in the credentials, and no one ever has to authorize again. As long as they're able to access the connector and they're authorized to use it in the Power Platform, they can use it. And then AI Builder, that's what I was saying before, is our AI engine. It's powered by Microsoft Azure, pulls into Power Automate and some of the Power Apps via drag and drop components. It essentially turns anyone in your organization into a data scientist. So it is a very, very powerful tool encapsulated in an easy to use interface. And at the bottom, environments. They are the core of the Power Platform. Managed environments take all the security and monitoring and administration one step further. So that's something that people are starting to roll out across their organizations. So I use the term digital transformation solution platform a lot. This is really why. I already mentioned we have digital process automation, which is cloud-based native automations, and we can run on the cloud. We take care of scalability. You can run it via scheduling. You can run it via what we call triggers. So any automation needs to be kicked off by something. So a trigger could be, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, an email arriving. It could be an Excel file being updated in OneDrive. It could be kicked off by a manual button click. Multiple ways to kick off, all done through the cloud and kicked off by these triggers. Business process automation, this really runs in the context of our Power Apps, model-driven apps. So if anyone out there has used Dynamics 365 sales or service, if you open up an entity like an opportunity, you'll see across the top a series of, sometimes they're chevrons, sometimes they're circles, sometimes they're targets. They all have steps associated with them. That's a business process automation. And what it does is it enables organizations to implement their rules for whatever they are working on. So if they're working on an opportunity, an organization probably has years and years of accumulated knowledge of how best to work with that opportunity to provide the best value to their customers. Business process automation allows you to implement that on an organizational scale. So users they could be brand new to the company, they use the opportunity and follow the business process automation, and they have the power of all of that company knowledge. It's like they've been there forever. Robotic process automation, this is where we talk about desktop. So if an application doesn't have an application programming interface that we can connect to via the cloud, we can do emulating human activities on the desktop. There are two styles: unattended, which means the laptop or the desktop is not logged into, and attended means it is logged into. Now, attended doesn't necessarily mean that someone's sitting at the PC. They can be, but it doesn't have to mean that. But those are the two distinctions between the two RPA flavors. Let me give you an example of where I've used some things like this in the past. So I do a lot of social media posting to evangelize the platform, and I just don't want to do it myself every day. So I have scheduled DPA flows that run every day and post on different topics. So for example, I might post in a daily tip on Power Automate. For Twitter, there's an API. So for Twitter, I simply call the Twitter API and boom, it posts to Twitter. For Facebook, I don't know if there's an API or I just haven't figured out how to use it yet. But either way, I haven't done that yet. So for Facebook, I communicate to the robotic process automation flow from the Cloudflow, and I use UI automation to load the browser, log into Facebook, make my daily Power Automate tip, and log out. That seamless working together means I can apply the tool to the problem I need to solve. And of course, because they're all from the Microsoft Power Platform, this is tremendous value for you as customers because you can use the right tool for the right problem. And then AI Builder, I really talked about already. One thing it's at the end there, but sometimes I think it should be at the beginning and the end, is process and task mining, which we provide some fantastic tools to let you analyze processes, optimize them, find bottlenecks, and really continue to optimize and improve processes as time goes by. Now, I think I got a little ahead of myself. I really talked about this a lot already. I'll just reiterate. On the right is API automation, which is cloud automation and allows you to connect to all of these desktop or these third-party applications via the connectors. And then in the middle is connecting to legacy applications or homegrown apps without APIs using user interface automation. So just a kind of summarized slide here. Power Automate, intuitive UI. Down at the bottom, we've got access from desktop, browser, mobile interface, 1,400 plus pre-built connectors. And by the way, that number goes up every day. And one last thing to talk about connectors is that if a connector does not exist, you can build one yourself. So there is the ability to create your own connectors. Let's say you have a pre-built app that has APIs. And I was just talking to a customer the other day that has this. You can build your own connector to do that. Copilot, I mentioned how we have AI-assisted authoring to help you develop automations or Power Apps or whatever it is you're working on in the Power Platform. We also have Copilot inside these applications. So the example I gave before about Twitter, I generate a post using built-in Copilot and AI in Power Automate. So I pick a random topic, like I set up the flow to say, generate a Power Automate tip for using Power Automate in the auto industry. And then I send that to the Microsoft Copilot AI prompt in Power Automate to generate the tweet itself. And then the flow continues and posts the tweet for me. So there's a lot of different ways to use Copilot within the applications themselves. And then AI Builder, we talked about. We can do AI-assisted authoring. We can do training of models. And the most common use case we see with models is like document processing for processing invoices and things like that. We have a ton of out-of-the-box models. If that doesn't fit your need, you can train your own model, which is literally as simple as uploading collections of documents, tagging the documents to say, this is the invoice date, this is the name, this is the subtotal, the tax, the total. And then you can use AI Builder to extract information from invoices as you come in. I did an example recently where invoices were actually checked for addition to make sure they were correct. You can also do images. So this is something that people sometimes overlook with AI Builder. We can do things like image processing. So I built a demo for a customer that was able to detect rust on pipes. I built another model that was able to detect diseases in strawberry plants. So it truly is the art of the possible when it comes to AI Builder, and it's just only limited by your imagination. So this is just a screen that shows how we use our connectors to enhance our hyperautomation messaging, because as I mentioned at the start, hyperautomation is really automating multiple technologies. So if you just search on the web for our connectors, you'll find a whole list of connectors. And as I mentioned, it's growing every day. And these connectors really do make it easy for you to connect and work with these third-party products through the seamless connection to Power Automate. And of course, all managed and governed via the environments and the Power Automate and Power Platform governance that your IT team puts in place. So just a slide to pull it all together here. So we are truly the hyper-automation platform solution. And I think that's an important distinction for our customers to talk about the value you do get from this platform, because it's not just an automation engine. It is, but it's also low-code applications. It's custom copilots. It's analytics through Power BI. It's communications through Teams. If you need things like sales or service applications, we've got the Dynamics suite of products for that. Then in the middle, we are all backed up by robotic process automation and DPA and artificial intelligence, process and task mining. And then across the bottom, of course, we've got all kinds of other things to back this up. Azure services, cloud services and storage, modern data services, and back to those connectors. I think you're starting to get the idea. We're pretty proud of all those connectors. And we encourage people to create them and publish them if possible. So it's very easy for me to tell you about how great all this stuff is. I work for Microsoft, of course. What else am I going to say? But I'll tell you the truth. The reason why I'm at Microsoft is because of the platform solution strength. I was at a what I call a competitor, but it wasn't really a competitor because they didn't have anywhere near the platform that we have. But it was a very good automation engine. And every time I did a demo, I was using a Microsoft product. So I got a call from a recruiter one day that said, "Hey, I see you posted these videos and you're automating Microsoft Dynamics 365 using a different engine. Why don't you come work for us and you can do it all as part of one platform?" And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I truly do think it makes a lot of sense for our customers. And of course, we're always here to help you discover new ways to implement automation in your solutions. But here's some information from Gartner and other leading research institutions that talk about the success of our platform and our automation, conversational AI, and BI and analytics. So there's tons of evidence out there, and I believe Ali is going to come on next and talk about value and customers in just a few minutes here. I only have a couple more slides, and then I think we're actually going to have a customer story later, so you hear right from our customers instead of just hearing from Microsoft people. So benefits, of course. I used to work for an organization where when you gave a presentation, if you were kind of talking about things but not really tying it to anything, people in the audience would hold up signs saying, "Who cares?" So here's the who cares. What do you get from this? So increasing organizational agility and efficiency. I mentioned that through task and process mining, we can increase efficiency of automations and optimizations. So what we find a lot of our customers doing is as they automate the processes, they eliminate steps. They find ways to refine it and make it better. So not only are they automating and making things work faster, they're making it better as they go. fostering employee innovation, I think, is a huge benefit to our customers. Get employees out of entering data in spreadsheets and forms and adding up invoices. Get them doing things that take human thought and human empathy, building relationships, things that only humans can do, and that I would say maybe no robot will ever able to do. Who knows will come out in the future, but right now they can't do that. And then, of course, continually improving these processes through our insights and reporting. And just a little bit more about impact. So this is from a particular customer. I think they chose to remain anonymous, but that one on the left to me is a huge metric for your measuring the success of your automation programs. High impact employee hours saved per year. I actually use the term high impact hours return to the business, because if an employee is not doing data entry, they can do other things that, as I mentioned before, is high impact, things that employees can do, like building relationships, fixing relationships, reaching out to customers, time saving, so employees aren't getting as tired. So think about sitting at a desk all day, processing 1,000 invoices a day. That might be impossible, but you get the picture. You'd start to get tired and start to make mistakes. So we can eliminate that, save time, save mistakes. And the one on the far right is important as well. Decreasing the configuration and development time to get your processes into production and automated and running, and saving the organization time and money, and hopefully providing tremendous benefit to your employees and customers. Last slide, I'll just leave this on the screen. You just see a whole bunch of customer evidence there. And while that's on the screen, and just before I transition to Ali, I'll say thank you again for your time. We really appreciate the time you spend listening to us talk about Power Automate. And you have my email. Please, if you have an idea, bounce it off me at any time. Hey, I think it would be great if we could automate this. How can we do that? Time permitting, I'm always happy to help, and I love hearing about new ideas from our customers. So thanks again for your time, and I'm going to transfer to Ali.
Thank you, John. Yep, and just like to introduce Ali Cohen here. He's going to chat with you guys about the business value of hyperautomation. Got a couple polls coming your guys' way throughout the demonstration here today, and I'll have some more at the end as well. So feel free to fill those out or circle back to already published ones. Ali?
Yes, thanks, Andrew, and thank you, John. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Again, my name is Ali Cohen. Let me go and turn my camera off here.
Hey,
and
Ali,
I do Microsoft for. Sorry
to interrupt you here. Yeah, it looks like we're looking at your presenter piece. If you want to put that in, there we go.
Okay. Yep. All right. Can you see me? Can you see now?
All good.
All right. Yeah. So again, Ali Cohen here with Microsoft. Been with Microsoft for 5 years. As John said, I too came from a competitor. But today I'm going to go over the business value side, the impact, the ROI, the return for when it comes to hyper automation as a strategy. So one of the things that I deal with, let me just skip that. Whoa, sorry here. I don't know what just happened here. All right, here, I'm having, whoops. All right, so this, and by the way, you're going to hear from these slides that I'm presenting are conversations that I've had with customers and actual projects that I've undertaken. So everything you see here today is real cases, again, from customers that I'm dealing with. So in this case right here, one of the things that let me start again with, when we think about what's important with hyper automation, it's great that John showed you. I call it the how we process and how we do things with the software. But one of the major things I hear from customers when we're talking about hyper automation is, how do we start from a financial standpoint? Either two things: either a customer or our clients have not undertaken a automation strategy. So this can be very, very overwhelming to justify from a financial standpoint. Or the other one is, well, we started, with the automation strategy. We adopted some technologies, but we're not getting back the return as we hope we would have gotten back or get back from some of these solutions. So we are incurring technical debt. So I love to start with, okay, Microsoft, I start with what's called a business value insight, right? I come to you before we even start talking about what the solution looks like. How do we help you quantify what you all can see from an annual benefit? And there's various ways of Microsoft how we go about doing that. We do this through third-party um, data that we can collect from our clients public. We also have past previous projects that we've worked on. We've worked on thousands of automation projects. And the beauty of that is we've kind of seen some standards and metrics and KPIs that time and time again are working within our clients. So we can take that data and then compile it and then send it back to you and say, hey, based off the projects we're doing, coupled with what we see about your business, this is the rough order of magnitude that we're comfortable saying from a conservative number that we can deliver back to you when you invest with a hyper automation strategy. So in this particular case, this is an actual customer that we're talking to right now, and we ran some numbers, and the numbers that came back to us was $26.3 million in an annual benefit with this customer just by getting started. And the beauty of this customer, they ran their own numbers and they cross-referenced what we sent to them in terms of the 26 million, and they were close within that range with their own findings. So we weren't off track here. And majority of the time, I would say when we do these exercises, we are well within. We're very conservative, but we're well within range of what we think we can help you all achieve from an annual benefit. Part two of this other value is that we also have what we call envisioning sessions. And this is taking from a series of sessions that I've had with customers. So this wasn't just one customer, this was a mix of several. But again, it's taking it a step further from, okay, now that we've helped you kind of identify the value, the ROI, the potential return, now we can do what we call an envisioning session where we can do this, where we come on site to your headquarters or to a location of your choice, and we can do anywhere from a full hour. In this case, I've done a day and a half sessions where we do what is called an envisioning session. We sit down with your various teams. So whether it's in customer service, whether it's in sales and marketing, HR, IT, finance. The latest one I did was with a retail team. I did two. I did one with supply chain and one with the retail team. And we spent a day and a half at their facility and just mapped out use cases, right? Here you see these are compiled use cases, and we can always, for me, use cases that's more of the, I'd say, easier part of this endeavor, right? Because we can always identify use cases. What it is now is taking these use cases and formulating a strategy, right? You can do here, for instance, if you see, let's just take with let's do customer service since it's the one on the left, right? You have anything from ticket generation to resolving complaints to how do you gather data on gather stuff on feedback. What kind of recommendations do you have? Things from calling in, case deflection, as we say. There's several things you can do to help with automating. And so we take all of this, we take these teams, we work with the teams, we collaborate for a day and a half or a day or a few hours, and we all come up with a strategy collectively with our clients, right? And they vote, by the way, on these use cases. So we prioritize them. Again, it goes back to helping you getting off the ground, getting started. And this is one of the things, one of the areas that we do where we help our clients with these envisioning sessions. Bless you to whoever sneezed, right? And as John also pointed out initially on the conversation, these are a mix of our platform, not just the core of what we do with automation, but using other tools within Microsoft to help formulate the strategy, as you're going to see here on the next slide, right? So then now from from going to what we showed you, which was the ROI, starting off with the business justification, segueing into now taking this and compiling into use cases, prioritizing them. Now, how do we now map this out? And this is from an actual customer where we did this exercise from this slide. We have all these ideas. Now, how do we create basically a roadmap, whether it be for the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? How do we now map this out for you? And this is just a rough order just to show you what I've done for one client in particular. This was a scenario where, again, this was a series of use cases, right? And so over the next year, we're working with them to basically segment all of these steps to create this strategy to where end to end, they're looking at a $30 million benefit by incorporating automation or hyper automation with various parts of Microsoft, various solutions, as John pointed out, to help them along that journey. So this was, again, taking a bunch of use cases and now formulating a strategy to where it's much more bigger than, and again, I know companies can have the options of, hey, we may not be able to tackle all of this at one time, but we can break these off in pieces and start our journey that way. So again, this is just a rough idea of what can be done when you look at envisioning and then taking this now to a roadmap. And from the first slide, this is now a 3-year outlook, right? So again, taking this to leaders within this particular client, showing them over a 3-year rollout, a 3-year outlook, what their return, what their benefits would be in things from staff efficiency to wrapping into security, customer retention, things from third party. Third party, by the way, is one of the technical debt is one of the bigger areas that I've seen when I discuss this with clients. Of course, revenue growth is always top of mind, driving operating efficiency, but the cost of the redundant or duplicative systems that are in our clients, we find that to be very that's a part of conversations. Or if it's not duplicated or redundant, it's applications that we can help with just basically just consolidating. And so that is an area that I also see that we help our clients with when I have these conversations. So again, and this is very short, but just wanted to give you all just a flavor, an idea of what can be done when you talk about how do you quantify the business value side with Microsoft. And one last thing to tie off is we have the resources to help you, the people resources, and obviously the technology resources, right? So we have I collaborate and partner with what we call our business value team. So that slide I showed you all that showed a $26 million benefit, that is directly from our internal team of people that are designed and dedicated to work strictly on business value. We have what we call a Power Customer Advisory team, right? The Customer Advisory team is another team of experts within Microsoft, of their engineers, their architects, that will help with the envisioning sessions. We have people such as myself and others that are on the ground talking to you to help tease out and bring out the quantification of what we're talking about when it comes to hyper automation. So you're not alone. There's Microsoft. We bring the resources to bear, and that's just something to point out is that this is not just a technology, a solution play. We have to obviously quantify and help you all justify this cost and justify the benefit. So if you all need that, we're here for you. You can find me also on LinkedIn, or you just email me. I'm always willing to talk to not just my clients, but people who are just looking to get started, or again, like I said, who have started, but are running into roadblocks of just basically standing up their technology. So with that, I'll hand it back to Andrew to hand us off to the next speaker. So thank you all for your time, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ali. I'd like to welcome Paul Kiley here next. He's going to dive into some customer stories, some success stories around hyperautomation, and then introduce our customer guest afterwards. So Paul, take it away.
Sounds great. Thanks for that, Andrew. Yeah, we're going to just quickly go through some customer stories here, customers that are using automation, and then we're going to hear from AT&T at the end of this. So just wanted to share, I'll kind of clear these slides pretty quickly. We're going to leave you with links to the specific customer stories as well, so you can dig a little bit deeper into that. So 93% of Fortune 500 companies are using Power Automate. We're going to talk about really 5 of those now, and then hear from AT&T as a 6th. This is, taking a look at some of the transformation that we can see customers are making. If you take US Acute Care Solutions, 20 million records processed, saving 100,000 hours annually. To PG&E, $74.7 million saved annually, in their overall Power Platform capabilities being deployed, including Power Automate. From a specific capability perspective, so if you look at PG&E, West Coast, primarily energy company, pretty significant savings. But if you look at some of the details, so 315 plus low-code solutions, over 4,000 developers or makers of capabilities, 2,000 applications, and they have 4.2 thousand cloud flows. So John talked about our capabilities of cloud flows and desktop flows, really API-based and RPA automation, and PG&E is doing a lot of that there from an energy perspective. Brown and Foreman, most well known for their Jack Daniel's whiskey, Herradura, and Korbel. They had really were trying to find a way to, fill complete repetitive and manual processes along the way. And so they took a look at Power Automate, and some of the value they saw is we had those connectors. So they had out-of-the-box integration with their core systems, and then where they didn't have those out-of-the-box integrations, they could use a custom connector or RPA to tie into those systems. They saved in their first 8 months 5,400 hours, just looking at transferring manual processes to digital. And one of the biggest outcomes for them was data consistency. So manual to automated processes, we've all been in organizations or dealt with organizations where consistency isn't there from task to task, with someone delivering on the same task across the organization. So if you look at contact center or in finance or HR or wherever that is out in the field, with technicians delivering services, organizations want consistency, and Power Automate can help you get to that consistency. And you can read more about that in the link. Epic, they're a legal solutions, global solutions company. They do a lot of legal services, but they do other things as well. They looked at really streamlining their HR operations, process automation, AI-driven forms processing, dashboards, and bots for monitoring, managing requests. They have a center of excellence that helped build and maintain over 600 applications across the company. So if you look at some of the benefits delivered to them, 500,000 saved annually, 2,000 hours saved each month from these manual processes, and they have about 600 plus low-code applications in their environment. And Komatsu Australia, a large equipment manufacturing company, they were struggling to manually process 52,000 invoices annually. And we know that processing an invoice isn't a single step process. There's kind of multiple branch steps that happen there. So they leveraged Power Automate and AI Builder to really automate that invoice process. And the solution was developed in 3 weeks. The first supplier, they saved over 300 really labor-intensive manual entry hours. 52,000 invoices processed, and with 99% accuracy, leveraging AI Builder with document processing. And then Vattenfall, I don't have any specific metrics for them, but they are an energy company that Microsoft works really closely with. they're leveraging process mining to really improve operational excellence. So their use case was around wind maintenance and customer operations in their energy business. And they can identify patterns, bottlenecks, and inefficiencies in the data. So as John talked about, it doesn't matter what the backend data is. If you can get to really the log files, the transaction files, you can leverage Power Automate's process mining there. And Vattenfall's delivering on that, a Swedish company. And we wanted to bring a customer that's doing some really great innovative things around Power Automate. And so I wanted to introduce Dror Ergaz, who's the Technology Assistant Vice President at AT&T that really runs their intelligent automation and AI team. So I'll leave it at that. He'll talk to you about what they're doing, but he's a great partner with us, and look forward to hearing from him. So Dror, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Paul. So I'm not a salesperson. I'm a technology person. I don't have any slides. I do have some information for you guys. I know that Paul talked about PG&E and $74 million in cost saving and revenue. All I can say is that we see a larger number than that. We have a lot more automation than the numbers that Paul just shared. We have about close to, I would say, 3,000 app makers, close to 5,000 cloud flow makers, over 1,000 desktop flow makers, and over 500 chatbot makers. So if you think about the numbers of the apps that we have on top of that, it's close to 13,000 apps, power apps, close to over 13,000 Power Automate cloud flows. That's insane. Now, the most common question that I'm getting all the time is, where do we start? And I think that Ali touched that. You have to anchor your 3 top, let's say, use cases. And those would be the anchor, but you have to explain what's the ROI, show the ROI, and make sure that they actually provide value for your business. And it cannot be that Microsoft is doing the evaluation, right? It's got to be with your own financials institutions. But once you show that, then this is a game changer for everything. Now we use that across every BUs that we have, every business unit around AT&T, whether it's operation, care, network, you name it, we're there. Now I can speak about a few of those anchor use cases, and those are changing right now with the Gen AI world, which I can dive also into. But one of the basic use case that we started with is we have a lot of legacy systems in AT&T, and I mean a lot of legacy systems, all more than 20 years systems. And one of the things that we have been targeted is to disconnect old POTS line, those analog copper lines that we have in most of the states today. And in order to disconnect one POTS line, we have to go through multiple steps and different systems to get that job done. That work took several days, probably even weeks before the automation. Many mistakes were done, which led to more work, and eventually that leads to unhappy customers, so customer satisfaction was down below the lines. The bots that we built after that perform those steps in a technician would. The same steps that he would do, we did that end-to-end using bots from ordering to actual line disconnects. We are talking about over 250,000 disconnects completed since 2023. Think about the amount of antennas then and equipment that we need to be serviced. The amount of work orders is huge. This is all used to be done using Excel spreadsheets, and again, multiple humans errors that led to delays. That all replaced by bots. Tens of thousands of work orders processed. Over 40% reduction in time. Over 80% reduction in return rate due to errors. Over 95% of all orders processed successfully. That's huge improvements in everything that we are doing today. Now, after you process those tickets, we have to actually dispatch some of those technicians to do the work, right? So how do you dispatch that? So identifying adjacent ticket location or adjacent neighborhood. These bots are reducing drive time, gas, vehicle wear and tear, increase productivity, and save Earth a little bit, right? And when you think about those legacy systems that we have, so you think about, okay, so why not replacing them with an actually new applications? Let's use Power Apps to build those new applications and replace those legacy systems. So some of them were exposed to vulnerabilities. Replacing them with the Power Apps, which is a no-code, low-code platform, right? Cleaned up those issues, bringing that to an updated technology and enabling our BUs to own and manage their apps led to a major cost reduction across the organization. Now, these are just the core. Again, these are the anchor use cases. But as we go along and we talk about the Gen AI, and we had our own custom connector to our own environment of Gen AI. So think about assisted care, right? Representatives. Every time that you call our call center today, you get the customer care representative is actually getting an assistant Gen AI enabler, and that's leveraging historic data and documents to assist them in representing during their call with the customers. That improved their calls by 33%, meaning they serve our customers 33% faster than before, leading to a better customer experience, happier customer, and reduce overall cost drastically. There are many more. I don't know how much time I have to speak about more use cases or not, but I want to give enough time for questions as well.
Yeah, you could probably talk all day about the use cases, huh?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I'd love to encourage people to come off mute if you guys have direct questions for Dror here. I'd like to open it up to kind of a Q&A style here to end the day. So please feel free to jump off mute. If you want to raise your hand, I can kind of go in the order of the hand raises as well. So. Yeah, I'll get it started, by the way. I don't see any that jumped in, but I'll cut the line here. Drew, I was actually kind of curious, right? That's a lot of automation you guys are building. What are some easy kind of high-level strategies for governance and maintaining that, right? It sounds like you got a lot of makers building a lot of different things. So how does AT&T kind of attack that governance model and control?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, there's a lot of governance going on, especially in AT&T, right? We are a big company. We have a center of excellence. This is a very strong team that I have that built some kind of a marketplace where people can come and put their ideas, and then that goes through a governance flow, a built-in flow that we figured out with our own processes, with internal processes, but it does go through security, compliance, architecture, finance to make sure that we are all prioritizing it correctly. And we do have, I gotta say, like hundreds of use cases pending. And one of the things that I saw on the demos on the summit in Las Vegas for Microsoft Power Apps is the ability to build using Gen AI, using text business requirements, using an app. And I'm looking forward to see how that will, make everything faster for us. And I see some of the comments are now our customers are unhappy. We are doing it too fast. I think the case is not, we are doing it way fast, but we are doing a lot more. That's the whole point, right? To do more. All the things that are pending today, it's because of those processes, governance. We're trying to reduce that.
Yeah, it's great. A good problem to have, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. It looks like we've got Juan Cortez. If you want to come off mute and ask your question.
Yes. So with all these automations that you guys are creating and already you have in place, how you guys are monitoring your flows and your virtual machines? I know we can go to Power Automate, click on flows, click on machines, group machines, all that stuff. But you have like a central place to see all the processes, which one is working, which one is failing.
Yeah, I know that Seth probably is on that call. He's my technical lead for
Yeah,
that.
I'm on
Okay.
it.
But we do have centralized views. We are in the process of building a starter kit that will evolve and provide all of those details, because in AT&T it used to be separated. There used to be two teams. One is the tenant team, the other one was the center of excellence, and that separation caused issues. So recently, using Microsoft help, we combined that into one team and we got all the information. Now we have all the views, and we are building all of those Power BI reports that show that, integrate that with some of the Gen AI tools that we have for monitoring and alerting, like we call it Watchtower. This is an homegrown monitoring tool that gives you alert, um, emails, thresholds, all of that stuff that we can monitor in real time. But we are building that. We are not there yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Andrew, looks like we have Nanette and Bob.
Oh, I'm talking on mute. Yep, sorry.
Okay.
Thanks for the great question, Juan. Bob, you're up next.
Yeah, with that level of that's an amazing level of automation. What other like technologies did you have to consolidate or collapse in order to accomplish that? Were there a lot of different platforms you had to kind of?
It's not, yeah, but it's not about collapsing or replacing those. It's about integration and automation between those systems mostly. That's the most focus. We do have those legacy apps that we replaced, but when you think about connectors, those connectors enable us to do things that we couldn't do. For example, I used to. We have a separate system for traveling, right? So you go book travel, company travel, then you have to go to another system, put it in Workday, let's say, to put that time over there. Those all are now automated. I don't need to do it. These are all automated through those special connectors that we have between Workday and our custom traveling system that we built. So I can actually build a cloud flow and automate that. So I'm not replacing the systems, but I'm integrating them.
One of the things that we
Thank you.
could do at AT&T is we had a lot of other legacy RPA solutions. There were a few other RPA program companies that we had worked with. And when we started the partnership with Microsoft around 2020, 2021, and converted, we did a migration of those over to the Power Platform. So there was a little bit of collapsing of that system, but to George's point, the majority of the benefits of using the Microsoft program is that it integrates with all of the Microsoft systems, and they're getting better and better every year on integrating with other systems that are out there. So that's where we get the most benefit.
And that said, by the way, that's one of the best technical leader in the power platforms world.
Nice. Love that assist there. Next is Nanette Cadino. It looks like you were just had your hand up there.
Yes, hello. Hey, everybody. Hey, Dror. I'm going to ask you more about maybe of a macro kind of, internal politics question as much as you can share. For my organization, what we really struggle with is having internal leadership kind of buy-in and understanding of how technology can really make us smarter and faster. I come from a very people-centric company. And then the second struggle that we have is understanding the long term. So, an investment today you have your dividends at the back end, you have that ROI. So I'd love to get your perspective on how did you guys navigate that internal buy-in and understanding for something like this, right? Like even some of the questions that I face, well, does this replace our internal systems? And no, it's not, just like what you just mentioned. And then the second question that I have for you is, how did you guys go around the actual implementation? How did you kind of stack either internal talent and maybe some of the Microsoft partners?
Wait, there's too many questions here. I need to figure out the first one. So the first one was about, I'm sorry.
Internal, like strategic understanding and buy-in to undertake this initiative.
Yeah, so listen, we all have that problem, right? What I'm pushing the team to do is at least 3 times a year boot camp, where we bring everybody and democratizing that solutions. Now, the idea is to come up with use cases and build them in 1 day, 1 or 2 days, let's say, and show the power of those power ups, right? So once you show people, here's the value that you're getting within 1 day of building, low code, no code, no sustaining, no vulnerabilities anymore. And this is cost a lot for enterprise organization sustaining. If you reduce that, that's a huge cases. So if you show them how to do it, and you can show them that you can do it in 1 day, and that's what it takes to build a power up, right? With no code, low code. There are special cases where you need to build custom connectors. It may take a few more days, but then it's reusable across all the power ups. But most of the cases, 1, 2, 3 days, you have something built, and you can show it, and it sells itself. That's it. It's done. It's done deal. Now, I can give you an example. Again, using Gen AI made us rethink about everything. How can we enhance the automation a little bit further, right? So we used to send people outside to take pictures of the building directory, and then list them and add them manually and write the floors and everything. What we did with the power up is we built a simple power up 1 day. Again, every technician, every field engineer can go into every building, take a picture of the building directory. Gen AI translate that image immediately and figuring out which companies are in that building, which floor, phone number, whatever there is on the board, and fill that automatically. So you see, people see that, then their brains start to think about the next items.
Yeah.
Then they start to see the light. It's a magic.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great example. And then how do you guys augment your resources, both from like internal that are, the experts in this space, and with external vendors of Microsoft suppliers?
How do we augment? Like I said, we have our own COE. Once we show the value, we've established a center of excellence with our own resources, which is backed by Microsoft.
Got it.
Microsoft engineers. But we are big enough to have that power to bring Microsoft in with us. This is a partnership. It's all a partnership, right? The more automation that you build, the more money you generate, the more money you generate for Microsoft as well, right? So it's all partnership. We're working together with everyone.
Got it. Thank you so much, Shor.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Dror, looks like we have another question in our Q&A area over here too. I think this kind of circles back to some of the governance as well that I mentioned. But it says, can you speak to what level of governance had to be implemented to minimize risk and obtain trust from your legal and security teams? So maybe kind of crossing that legal and security boundary, when a lot of our customers do that same thing, right? We got to run this by security and legal and do all the compliance checks, etc.
Right. And we have special organization, right? CISO is part of that governance process. Solution architects are part of that process. So that has to go. There's a flow. There's actual flow that workflow that they have to go through in order to get access, even for a POC, I would say. But POCs are easier, but once you want to get to production, that's a completely different aspect. They have to review the architecture, which data is coming in, which data is going away, which connectors are being used, especially if you are talking about third-party connectors. It's a big deal with us. We need to understand which data, again, goes in, goes out. We need to bring those that developed the connectors to approve that. It's a long, tedious process. There's no shortcuts here.
Great, appreciate that. Looks like we have another question from Karen Harrington.
Yeah, so I posted the Q&A question drawer. So let me go. I'll just ask. So yeah, I understand you pretty much answered in what I expect from a governance and getting the buy-in from legal and risk management. But there should be a level, and we have a small thing. So how do you determine what your business users or citizen developers are allowed to do and create before they have to go, or do you do that before you have to go through that governance process? Is there a level of development that you allow your business users to do just on the fly?
Give me an example so I can better understand.
So let's say you have a person like an admin assistant, and they want to automate maybe they're going out to look at your most common restaurant to see availability, and they're scraping a website, something that would be very generic that they can possibly, because we have some very intelligent admin assistants, could record their steps and run that personally, and it never has to go through IT or any sort of use case. We see it through the dashboard, of course, so we always know what's being created in the tenant. But just wondering if you have developed like some sort of guide for the business users' personal productivity to allow them to say, okay, I'm okay to do this.
We don't have anything like that. What I can say is that, but on the other side, we are restricting access to internal data per user, right? So it's not that everyone can access all the data that we have, and we have about more than exabyte. It's 1,000 petabyte of data in AT&T. We can't allow everyone to access everything, so it's per user, per role, per category. It's very limited. But that's part of the business case submission again.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Karen. Anybody else on the call here? I think I see that we got to the end of our hand raises here, so one final call for questions for Dror. All righty, going once, going twice. With that, thank you so much, Dror, for joining us here today. We appreciate all the great feedback and perspective from your side. I think like John joked about, right, we are talking about our stuff all the time, and it's great to hear from our customers and the success stories they've had so other customers can start down that journey. So once again, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. So that is the end of our show here today. I want to do a couple more shameless plugs for our Power Platform Master Series. Our next series coming is in November on the 13th. This one is pretty awesome. I think you guys are going to like it a lot. So please tune in, register. We're going to be going into how Microsoft runs enterprise-grade governance here at home. So we are always one of our own biggest customers. And you are going to hear from Leanne and Ryan. They are part of our internal team that runs, I think, over 300,000 employees across 45,000 Power Platform environments. So we are doing it at a mass scale here internally. So please tune in. You'll be able to ask them questions of how they're handling how we are handling enterprise grade governance here on the Power Platform. And they're doing that with a team of around 10 people. So they are managing quite a lot of users, quite a lot of environments, and doing that with a very efficient team internally. So please join, register. The QR code down there in the bottom right will take you to that registration page. So please sign up today. And last but surely not least, just wanted to call out again our Power Platform Master Series Hub. This is a site that you can go to see other sessions that we've recorded and posted. Of course, we will take today's session's content and its recording and post it there as well. So scan the QR code, write down that link, take a screenshot, whatever you got to do. That is where we will post the content for you guys to review afterwards. With that, thanks again for your time here today. We are going to wrap things up. Thanks for all of our speakers. We greatly appreciate it. And tune in for the next one in November. Pretty excited about that governance conversation. So thank you all for your time.
Take care, everybody.